L'objectif est ambitieux, faire du Sénégal un hub technologique majeur en Afrique, en mettant un accent particulier sur l'innovation numérique, l'intelligence artificielle et la formation des talents locaux. C'est sur ces mots que je souhaite plein succès à ce symposium. Merci pour votre engagement et votre passion. Bienvenue à toutes et à tous, et que cette rencontre soit porteuse d'innovation, d'échanges fructueux et d'une vision partagée pour un futur meilleur. Je vous remercie.
Merci, professeur Papangom, pour ce discours inspirant. Maintenant, nous allons passer la parole au docteur Nebiou Derégé de l'Africa CDC. As a reminder, we started this program 1 year ago at Africa CDC in Addis. The program is under the umbrella of Africa CDC to help us strengthen the ecosystem of AI and AI tools used in for health related issues in Africa. So, Dr. Nebiou, you have the floor.
Hope you can hear me. I would like to welcome you all to this important meeting. I'm here representing Africa CDC. On the behalf of Africa CDC, I would like to say something on data science without border. And before I just pass into data science without border specific issues, I would like to provide you some context on Africa CDC so that we can understand what Africa CDC is and what Africa CDC is doing. I was planning to make a short, brief presentation on this background, and then I'll pass directly into the data science without border, and also, you know, some data science related initiatives that we have within Africa CDC. So if someone who can assist me projecting my presentation here. So Africa CDC, hope you know what Africa CDC is, but it's good if I can give you some context on the historical establishment journey of Africa CDC before I went through the presentation of mission, vision, and some initiatives that we have. So Africa CDC was initially triggered to be established as a continental public health agency in 2013 in Abuja, and then it was triggered by Ebola outbreak in the West Africa region. Just you can remember 2014 and 2015 Ebola outbreak emergency in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. So based on that, the heads of state and the government or AU member states assembled, and they accelerate the establishment of Africa CDC as continental public health agency to safeguard the public health of the continent. And there were several decisions in between, and now in 2017 it was launched in Addis Ababa as a headquarter. And then in 2022, which is a recent achievement, Africa CDC was indicated to be an autonomous AU institution with the mandate of safeguarding public health in the continent. So we have presence in regions, in 5 regions, and also we have presence in 29 member states currently, and we are scaling out to have a presence in all the AU member states. So for the 5 regions, the West is located in Abuja, Nigeria, The central is in Gabon. The north is in Cairo, but not yet decided. And the south is in Zambia, and the east is in Kenya, Nairobi. So Africa CDC vision. Africa CDC has a vision for a safer, healthier, and prosperous Africa, in which member states are prepared to timely prevent, detect, and respond effectively to public health threats and emergencies. And we have the mission of strengthening the capacity and capabilities of public health institutes inside Africa, which includes the national public health institutes, research institutes, and other public health institutes. So I think this DSWB, Data Science Without Border, has also the mission of building, strengthening the capacity of, the data science infrastructure, data science and artificial intelligence, machine learning, and AI capabilities and capacities in research institutions and national public health institutions. So it seems we are aligned in terms of the mission we are doing. So that's why we support as Africa CDC. I will not go much into details of the new public health order, but this is one strategy, or it's an order that governs public health systems in the continent. So this was also launched in 2022 by heads of state of AU member states, which has 5 strategic pillars. And the first one is strengthening the workforce and strengthening the public health institutes. We have different public health institutes in Africa, the national public health institutes, and the research organizations. So one of the orders, or one of the priorities that we will look forward is strong public health institutions in the continent. And the second one is health workforce. So strengthening the health workforce is one of the agenda of the new public health order, which includes the capacity strengthening in terms of data science and all the ecosystem related to data. Local manufacturing, we say it, the second independence for Africa. I mean, we don't have to rely on external support in terms of vaccines, diagnostics, and therapeutics. And you may think about the ways that data science can support the local manufacturing initiatives of the continent. I think that's one of the flagship initiatives for the continent. So how we can leverage our resource in terms of data and in terms of data science to support local manufacturing. How we can leverage our resources in data to support R&D, research and development, which results in the manufacturing of vaccines, therapeutics and diagnosis, how we can support clinical trials and so on, and research and so on. So this is one of the priorities that we envision in Africa CDC as part of new public health order. The fourth is domestic financing. And I can't speak, on this issue because we are still suffering on this kind of scenario currently. Even, we need to advocate for domestic financing for research, domestic financing for health sector, and so on. There are a lot of commitments which have not been translated into action. The Abuja Declaration, the Algiers Declaration. I think you might be aware of those declarations, but still. We have a challenge in terms of enforcement of those declarations. So Africa CDC advocates for domestic financing, and the fifth pillar is action-oriented partnership. Action-oriented, respectful partnership. Any partnership must be action-oriented. That's one of the priorities that we see in Africa CDC and AU. So partnership should not be just based on power imbalance, the North-South power imbalance. And we anticipate co-creation of activities that we have implemented in the DSWB as well. So we have 5 priorities in the strategic plan: strengthening integrated health systems for high-burden diseases, surveillance and early warning systems, emergency preparedness and response, national public health institutes, strengthening them, local manufacturing, and laboratory systems and diagnostics. So these are the priorities, and we have also 7 enablers. One of the enablers is digital systems, data science, analytics, which cut across all the priorities. So just to show you some alignment. So the role of data science in public health decisions and response. The first one is enhanced surveillance and disease intelligence, including the early warning detection and systems. So Africa is has been affected by multitude of public health emergencies. Even currently, we have multiple emergencies, including like Mpox, Marburg, Ebola Sudan, and cholera, and other public health emergencies which have been affecting multiple nations in the continent. So digital technologies, data science, and everything can support these initiatives very well. So I hope we will have a presentation on this, how we are using the surveillance system, the early warning systems to support the emergency preparedness and the response. I think we have a section on that as well. The second one is evidence-informed policy and practice, research and knowledge translation. Data science has a room in terms of evidence-informed policy and practice. So data-driven insights for targeted public health interventions, particularly in the national public health institutes. So there are a lot of data. If you go to national public health institutes, surveillance data is there, laboratory data is there, and routine health facility data is there. But how we are translating that data into practice, how we are translating that data into policy, it can influence policy, it can influence practice if we analyze and if we translate into actions and policy and practice. So data-driven insights are required. Public health emergency preparedness and response, like predictive analytics for risk categorization of countries, which are at-risk countries, risk A, B, and C, real-time data sharing and reporting systems, and to ensure rapid response. These are some of the roles we see. And as a challenge, we also see the issues of data privacy, data security, governance. This is very, very sensitive issue when it comes to Africa and when it comes to continent. We have similar kind of issues with regard to COVID-19. I hope I can remind you about the SARS-CoV-2 Omicron genomic sequencing data that was shared and which resulted in no benefit sharing and resulted in travel ban. That's very alarming and very sensitive when it comes to the continental global health or the continental public health architecture. So we want to share data, but we want to benefit from the output of the data as well. This is what we call it access to data and benefit sharing. This is one of the important articles that we have debating in the pandemic agreement, which is under the negotiation. Local capacity building, we need to build local capacity. We need to strengthen the capacity, and infrastructure is a challenge. And I hope data science with our border project will increase the capacity, will strengthen the capacity of our health workers, our data scientists, and our researchers, that which you have been doing, and also infrastructure support will be there. So in Africa CDC, there are a lot of initiatives ongoing in terms of data science, like the data sharing agreement, like there is a public health informatics fellowship. Within the science and innovation also, we are mapping research capacity and capabilities in different research sites. We are developing repositories, dashboards, and also the Knowledge Management Hub, which is a portal for data access and sharing different knowledge products, which can also be AI powered, and we are looking for partnership and support in terms of establishing AI systems which can support the knowledge management and the knowledge portal of Africa CDC, and I have a simultaneous plan to discuss this with data science with our border team as well. Surveillance and response, the early warning system, event management system, and the data science with our border project, which is also the initiative we are doing with. So as we look forward, we work to finalize data sharing agreement with countries. So it's ongoing process. We are working on that. I think at the moment, I think it's about like 14 or 16 countries who have approved the data sharing agreement, but we need to go ahead and we need to finalize that. Strengthening collaboration and partnership. We value collaboration. We value partnership, but this partnership and this collaboration should be respectful, should be action-oriented. I mean, we don't have to establish a partnership which does not work, a partnership which is based on kind of north-south collaboration, but it should be based on mutual respect. It should be based on co-creation of activities and based on priorities of the continent, not the priorities of elsewhere. It should be based on priorities of the continent. So we want to strengthen that kind of collaboration and partnership. We are working on different frameworks, governance documents, and we will continue working on them. Capacity strengthening programs in terms of the public health informatics fellowship, in terms of research, in terms of data analysis trainings, and so on. And one more important thing that we anticipate to work together is translating routine data for informed decision and response. There are a lot of data which is sitting in national public health institutes and laboratories, and we need to translate those information, those data into a form which can influence policy and practice. So these are some of the things. I thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Dr. Nebiyu, for this reminder of the history and creation of Africa CDC, its mission in Africa, its priorities, and also the challenges. Reminder about the role of data science in decision making. For example, within our national public health institutes and ministries of health. Thank you again for being here and for your leadership in the continent. So should we do we have Mrs. Akin on? Or?
Okay, ma'am says yes. Okay, so I'll go for it. Okay. Okay, after all the challenges. Okay, good morning, everyone. So my name is Akin Barikweshe. I'm part of the Data for Science and Health team at Welcome, which is the team that supports Data Science Without Borders initiative. So firstly, thank you for enabling me to join you remotely, and I'm sorry, obviously, this has caused so much technical troubles. It's a great pleasure to be able to have these remarks at the beginning of the annual general meeting for Data Science Without Borders. I would have really loved to be there with you all in person, and that's not just because Dakar is a beautiful corner of the world where I got to spend a week on a work trip a few years ago and would like to go back to, but I value your opinions and experiences as a community. and in my opinion, those are best shared in person. But sadly, I wasn't able to travel due to clashes with other work commitments. But I hope that this project will offer me the opportunities in the future to meet up with you all in person, hopefully on a beautiful corner of the African continent. So, as I am sure many of you know, Wellcome is a health and science research funder in the UK, but that funds globally. So on the African continent, that includes big research centers and programs, some of which we've supported for decades, such as Kemri Wellcome Trust Research Program in Kenya, African Health Research Institute in South Africa, Malawi Liverpool Wellcome Center, Science for Africa Foundation, including the Deltas program, which brings together partners in 29 African countries. So increasingly, we are developing more targeted support for data science through our team. For example, recently we announced the launch of the African Bioinformatics Institute, an initiative aimed at socioeconomically impacting the African continent by harnessing biological data for decision making. And thanks to the leadership and hard work of, once again, our amazing partner, African Population Health and Research Center, we are in the process of finalizing our winning teams for the African Data Prizes program. And in fact, over the past years, it's been a pleasure to see APHRC going from strength to strength with various impactful programs of work across the continent. And as Wellcome, we've been lucky to call them our partners for quite a few of those. So as part of our efforts for dedicated targeted support for data science and AI to drive improvements to health, Data Science Without Borders project is, in my opinion, a flagship program, which I'm extremely excited about. The SWB's multifaceted emphasis on strengthening data ecosystems, infrastructure, while also providing data-related capacity training across the continent through partnerships between APHRC, CODATA, OSPANAL, London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and Makarare AI Labs places it exceptionally for driving impact on the continent. Added to this multifaceted approach, its close collaboration with ARI in Ethiopia, Douala General Hospital in Cameroon, and Institut de Recherche en Santé de Surveillance Épidémiologique et de Formation in Senegal offers a unique opportunity for impact through evidence-based decision-making. And finally, having our colleagues from Africa CDC, which we've just heard about their vision and mission, as named partners in this program, is, in my opinion, the most effective way of making this goal of impacting decision-making in public health a reality. So thanks to Dr. Agnes Cherga's leadership and via our regular catch-ups, I'm well up to date with all the hard work that has been happening over the past year to take this ambitious international multi-site collaboration off the ground. And I recognize the challenging environment you work in, and I'd like to congratulate you all for establishing a structure, shared goals, and advancing data sharing agreements over the past year, as well as on your success on working with each Pathfinder to identify their needs and their future trajectories. Finally, your progress in training and the data ecosystem is an achievement paving the way for Data Science Without Borders' continued success. As I mentioned earlier, Wellcome has a number of targeted data and technology-related initiatives on the African continent. So in addition to the African Bioinformatics Institute and the African Data Prize, we've also supported the formative phase of the African Population and Cohort Studies Consortium, APCC, and we've been partners with APHRC on implementation network for sharing population information from research entities, INSPIRE. Our goals with all of this portfolio of work is for them to be driven by and tailored to African priorities so that we can strengthen the wider data ecosystem and harness data to impact health on the continent. So when thinking about the future, I really would like to encourage you to think about the wider landscape and about these exciting, budding, or existing initiatives, including the ones that are not funded by Wellcome, to see where these links and connections can be best made, and how your collective aims can help move the ultimate goal of impacting health via data on the African continent. So as founders, we'd love to enable a scenario where the whole is bigger than the sum of its parts. And I don't want to take much more of your time, but I want to say that we are here to help Data Science Without Borders to succeed and make the links with other stakeholders where we can and where we are best placed to. So please let me or let us know if there's anything we can enable or unblock for you to help you achieve your goals. So finally, given that we have 2 francophone hospitals represented in this project, I'd like to finish with a few remarks in French. Historiquement, chez Welcome, la majorité de notre financement en Afrique a été dirigée vers des organisations anglophones, à l'exception de ce projet Data Science Without Borders. Dans le but de développer des réseaux panafricains, nous sommes très heureux d'avoir des organisations et du Sénégal comme de parties dans cette collaboration. Nous espérons que cette tendance se poursuivra et que nous verrons de plus en plus de pays francophones représentés dans notre portefeuille africain de sciences des données chez Welcome. Merci beaucoup and thank you very much.
All right, thank you again, Mrs. Baluk-Bassi, for this reminder about the role of Welcome in funding research in Africa and also supporting data science in the continent. It's good to hear that your speech is well aligned with the speech of the Africa CDC representative, that your portfolio in the continent is tailored to the Africa priorities. Thank you also for the part of the speech in French. Usually, on n'est pas habitué à avoir aussi des speeches en français. En général, on nous oublie un peu parfois, donc ça fait plaisir de savoir que vous de vous adresser à nous directement en français. So thank you again for all the support that you provide for research in Africa and the support that you're providing for the DSWB program. We will, not sure if we gave a clap to Mrs. Baluk-Bassi, so maybe it's time for that. Thank you. So we'll turn now the floor to Dr. Agnes Kiraga to give us a reminder of what the DSWB program is, and then also give us the final opening of this meeting. As a reminder, APHRC is the prime organization for the DSWB program, and Dr. Agnes is the principal investigator of the program. Agnes.
Merci beaucoup. Okay, you see I'm reading. Bienvenue à la réunion de DSWB. Merci beaucoup pour le voyage. Thank you so much for traveling to Senegal. I was saying, everybody I was greeting in the morning and just appreciating you for taking time off. It's a very early start of the year for traveling. I know what it feels to come to East Africa from West Africa and vice versa. It's really a journey, so everyone who has taken the time off and the journey to come and join us at this annual general meeting, we appreciate you. And for the online team, thank you so much for staying in. I know we had a couple of technology glitches, but we're data scientists. We shall solve this. Next year, probably we'll have robots helping us with all this setup. But thank you so much. And I want to take this opportunity to take you through a bit of the progress for the Data Science Without Borders project, and also give you a history of how it began, and also where we hope to go for the next year. And I know that when you have very many dignitaries, there are some keywords you have to say, like all protocol observed. And I want to use this chance to acknowledge whoever is in the meeting room, all partners here in Senegal who have really hosted us, the team that has traveled, the one is online, the ministry, the academic partners, and all the attendees. Thank you so much for joining us. So not to re-echo my boss's words, Dr. Andre, but I wanted to give you some visual exploration of APHRC. Statistics shows that about 60% of the people are very visual. Sometimes you relate to things more when you see them. So APHRC is based in Nairobi and headquartered in Nairobi. We also have a local office here in Dakar. We would be happy to invite you to our West African Regional Office. It's downtown. And because of this, we are excited that we do lead a lot of research across the continent. To date, that shows you the map of where APHRC is positioned. We do this through very strong partnerships across the continent, research partnerships, trainings, and all kinds of engagements with various researchers across the continent. And we are a multidisciplinary team. We have a lot of researchers across Africa. And because of this, we encourage a lot of research from many of the partners. Our vision remains to transform lives in Africa through research. We want to generate evidence, strengthen research and its capacity strengthening, and also to inform the African R&D. We've heard from Africa CDC that it's important. Whatever we're doing really speaks to the vision, the new public health order, and that we are also translating our results to policy. And we do this through evidence from the research being used up a lot. We also want more and more people to use up this evidence. And in doing that, we see many researchers using the evidence and the expertise that they have to make decisions that really inform public health in Africa. So that's really our vision, and we hope that DSWB also contributes to that vision. Our research programs, like mentioned earlier, are mainly for health and well-being. Anything to do with health is in that quota. Then we have human development. We have early childhood, youth transition, a lot of work on education. We have population dynamics and urbanization. And like Andre said, the last of its kind is the data science without, not without borders, the data science program, which is one that hosts DSWB. And we're excited that we contribute to the research program of APHRC through data-driven research. So I'll go straight to why data science is important. And I know we have many data scientists here, many machine learning experts, AI specialists in this congregation, mathematicians, and we can all agree that there's been a very heightened increase in the use of AI globally, and data science and all these tools really. I don't know how many of you have used ChatGPT? By show of hands? Okay, good. We are a very vibrant, very vibrant community. So we are all really embracing artificial intelligence. And it's, somebody says it's really going to change the way we live, and we can no longer hide away or shun away from AI. It's just how we are going to use it that is going to be important. But what's driving this rise? I think in Africa, there's been a lot of digital penetration. Around 320 million Africans now have access to internet through their mobile phones. This is creating a digital footprint. And because of this, we are able to generate data. And we hope by 2030, about 500 million, that's about half of the continent, will have access to internet. About 37% penetration. So we think that this advance in digital footprints, mobile technology is really going to increase data, digital traces, and because of that, we'll be able to really see the advance of AI and its adoption in Africa. When you look at the statistics, about 400 terabytes of data are generated daily, but Africa contributes less than 10% of this data. But if we see the increase in mobile internet users, we know that this is going to increase even more. And it has been predicted that by around 2030, most of our GDP will really be driven by the advance of AI. So we have to stick to this. We need to see how we can increase AI adoption and continue to invest in scaling that is going to support Africa's development. And there are many maturity models that are going to help us classify how we are going to take on AI. I won't go into that, but you can look at the cloud adoption, the Google Cloud AI adoption model. It helps you classify an institution. Where is it? How is it using AI? And maybe it's time for us to understand where we are on this adoption journey. But if you look at where most of the AI adoption is happening in Africa, it's siloed in very few countries. We have Mauritius, Egypt, South Africa, Kenya, and Rwanda. And we want to see more of that happening across Africa. And it's one of the reasons that we came up with Data Science Without Borders, because we don't want all these silos to happen. How can we advance data science and other tools across the continent. If you look at the data in Africa, there's a bit of sparsity. Some countries have a lot of data. Some countries do not have a lot of data. We've heard from the CDC team that there's a lot of information sitting in the National Public Health Institutes. How do we use this data even more? And I like this quote from Mo Ibrahim, which said, without data, we are driving blindly. Policies are misdirected, and progress on the road to development is actually stunted. We must act urgently to close the data gap in Africa if we genuinely want to leave no one behind. So we really need to harness our data. We need to see where it is stored, of what quality, and how can we make it usable to get insights. If you look at skilling, again, it's been highlighted by UCAD and also ARISEF and CDC. We really need to skill Africans. If you look at the statistics, less than 1% of the global AI talent is in Africa. We need to do a lot of that. We know that 70% of the development cannot happen if we don't see a lot of investments. Most of the data scientists are not trained legally, are not trained from formal universities, but informal courses online, and they're still using some of the basic tools. So we really need to see how we can increase skilling and make sure that we have a good workforce, like the public health order spells out. And then infrastructure is also important, and we see a lot of this siloed again in some part of Africa. Most of the cloud storage is in Southern Africa. We need to see more of those services across the continent, and we have Africa CDC here to help us move that journey. And these are really the pillars for effective use of data. So that, against that background, I'll then introduce Data Science Without Borders project and tell you more about it. It was opened up it was launched in 2019, last year in 2023. And we wanted to really have data science across Africa. We started off with 3 countries, but our general objective is to strengthen data systems in African health institutions by starting with the 3 countries, Senegal, Ethiopia, and Cameroon, which we later on refer to as pathfinders. We need to create an open and sustainable environment for a collaborative, replicable, transferable application of data science in these 3 countries. We want to develop platforms that help increase use, like no-code or low-code platforms. We'll see most of those demonstrated later. And also allow the federation, which will explain how do you move data and analysis while respecting where the data is collected. So that's our main 3 objectives. And like I said, it was launched last year in 2024. And I like the quote that says, coming together is a beginning, but staying together is progress. We have made 1 year of staying together as the DSWB consortium. And how we are going to finish off is going to be that indicator of our success. This was at Africa CDC last year in Addis Ababa. So I will tell you briefly about the project updates and what we've done. Really update about the first objective, the second, the third, and then feedback. We had some feedback for our first year of implementation, and then I'll conclude, and then we can move to the next parts of the agenda. So in terms of strengthening data systems, we know that data is important, but you need to know where the data comes from. When we visited early this year, after the launch, we had a lot of feedback from the 3 pathfinders who said, you need to know where the data is coming from. You need to look at the systems. You need to understand the capacity on the ground. You need to know where you're starting from. How can you create a benchmark and then see where you're going? So we kicked off this with very intense site visits in all 3 countries. It was quite a journey, but we did make it. We started off with Ethiopia, then went to Cameroon in Douala Hospital at the top, and ended up here in Dakar. And we are back again to ARISEF. So maybe next time we'll be traveling to another place. So it was a very important journey, and it helped us understand the diversity of the data systems in these 3 countries, how to engage with key national stakeholders. It also helped us create a bit more trust. Sometimes when you discuss these things over Zoom, it becomes difficult to understand the real story. What is the story behind all these discussions? So we had to get down to the different systems in the 3 countries, the 3 institutions, and understood where we can support those that are already on the journey, and it's been a very informative part of our Objective 1. From this visit, we then designed a very comprehensive needs assessment tool. We'll have the results shared shortly. What is it about the data, the infrastructure, the scaling, and the governance issues? And we also then, the reality of data sharing came in when we finished this intensive partner visit. We understood that data is not going to move very closely or very easily between the 3 countries. We had to understand the challenges, the different institutions, the governance, the frameworks, and because of that, we've learned along the way what we need to do to share data in the consortium. And we also created different working groups which have helped us implement different parts of the objectives. So when we look at what the needs assessment showed, and I'm being very brief here, we'll have a detailed breakdown of the comprehensive results. Please note that this needs assessment was conducted with a lot of support from the Africa CDC. We went back and forth with Dr. Nebiyo and Dr. Tempak, and also with Dr. Bekure, who is there, on how to really position this assessment. What are the health information exchange systems in Africa? How can we create a comprehensive tool that is going to help us understand the maturity of these 3 institutions? We started off by saying, let's roll this out in the whole of Africa, but the Africa CDC told us, no, first pause, look at what it is in the 3 institutions, and then from there we can see if we can scale it. And we are happy to note that we have really completed the needs assessment. We have understood the varying data maturity in the 3 institutions. We have been able to start to customize where the support will go, and also understanding where the training needs are, and all of these will be presented shortly. But from this maturity index, we can see that the 3 pathfinders are different levels. There's a reactive stage, which is DGH, and there's a lot of data collected. There's still need for some electronic systems, but the site is doing extremely well. We have Senegal, which is stable, data collected, but there's need for increased data use. ARI is at the proactive phase, where there's a lot of data. Data is being used for decision making, but again, there are still some areas of improvement, and the ladder keeps going up. So it has been a very good journey for us to know how to support the different pathfinders, and how to look internally at APHRC, where are we at, what can we support, where do we do a knowledge exchange? We are not any different from ARI, so that we can also support each other as an African institution. We've also highlighted the types of data sets. Sorry, the font is getting smaller, but again, you look at the data sets there in a bigger presentation. There are lots of data in these 3 institutions. Some are from clinical data sets, surveys, all kinds of genomic tests, laboratory data, a lot of information that's being collected, but many times underutilized for evidence generation. There's a lot of structured and unstructured data that can really benefit from the advances of AI, and we really need to see how this DSWB will help us create insights from this data. We've also understood the governance. We did a very thorough review of the data governance in the 3 countries, and it's clear that there's a lot of diversity, and it helped us see the next steps around creating a consortium data sharing agreement. Some countries had really unestablished, Ethiopia had unestablished data governance. There was a partial one in Erisef, and then a framework of its kind that needed to be modified in Cameroon. And at APHRC ourselves, we've also just developed a data governance framework. So we are learning along the way, and we came to a point where we had to come up with a consortium data sharing agreement, which we'll also discuss shortly. A lot of skills that are needed, and they range from AI, data use, making data findable, big data analytics, epidemiology tools, statistics. There's a lot of skills that all our sites needed, and we are taking this piece by piece to see how we can impact this knowledge and making sure that we have the right skill set developed in the 3 pathfinders. Then it comes to objective number 2, which is open science and creating a sustainable environment. Again, this takes time. Openness is not something you wake up and just come up with it all of a sudden. We had to create different working groups, and in these working groups we had to really, pull ourselves out there, see what partner is available to join these working groups, what can we do for which group, how can we support the different groups. And we created about 4 working groups. We have a capacity building working group that has done a lot of work in training, and we'll see some of those results shortly. We have the Open Science Working Group that is led by our colleagues from Codata. We have Precious that is presenting. The Capacity Building Working Group is led by the London School of Hygiene. And I know we had Professor Jim Todd in the consortium, who is still supporting generally, but we also have Professor Emma Slemeka, who is online from LSHTM. So that is how we've been building capacity. We had to come up with a data governance working group, and this was led by Miranda, and all that is at the bottom down, all those were legal representatives from APHRC, ARI, Douala General Hospital, IRISEF. We had to come together and talk about data governance and sharing in person. Then it comes to platform and harmonization. Again, this is a separate working group that is really focused, led by Codata, focused on making data available and platforms where the data will be shared and the standards in which we'll use to share this data. And then last is the AI and equity working group, which is also supporting a lot of our newly formed PhD and master's level students who have just joined the consortium. And that picture was taken on the weekend during a training in the data bootcamp. So in terms of aim 3, creating this federated environment and a no-code platform where we can do a lot of the analytics from the data. We still have a journey, but we've really started on a very eventful journey where we are creating a platform. You punch in your data, be able to use generative AI, and then come up with insights that are going to help you to speak to a policymaker, to speak to a data producer, and it's something, Dr. Nebiyu, that we can talk about. How can we leverage this platform to help with the insights and AI implementation at Africa CDC? It's something that is nearly next to completion, and it's really a very useful tool. The students were exposed to this, the fellows were exposed to this tool over the weekend, and it has really transformed the way they are doing their work. This is a tool that's led by Steve and the team from APHRC. And then once we finished, those are kind of what the progress looks like. We then rolled out a survey last week to tell us. Sometimes feedback is very, very important. How are we doing the job? How are we relating with the different tools, different teams? What can we do to improve the way DSWB is being implemented? And there were very good feedback. Feedback is good, positive or negative. It's always appreciated. I'll start with the positive. I think the team says kudos to the project team and the technical partners for their dedication and hard work, along with the efforts put up by the Pathfinder sites. So there's a lot of teamwork happening there. We are doing a great team. We are doing a great job as a multi-country team. There's a lot of differences in country systems and maturities, and DSWB is in position to make a huge impact. So thank you for those comments. This project is fantastic and a game changer in introducing data science capacity in the Pathfinders. DSWB is a great project. It's amazing to see how much progress has been done in a year. I look forward to even better progress in the coming years. So for that feedback, we are patting ourselves on the back and saying thank you so much. However, we got a lot of other important feedback that is helping us shape our next activities. But I'll look at what the consortium thinks with regards to achieving our 3 objectives. Looking at objective number 1, most of the respondents feel like it's good. Building a sustainable and collaborative environment. Many of the consortium partners, this is still going well. In terms of the federated no-code platform, we see that there's still some support. It's a platform that is being developed, but we will get there, and we shall be able to roll it out in the 3 Pathfinders. In terms of the relevance of the different working groups, there's a lot of support and interest in the Open Science Working Group. The blue is very relevant. The London School Hygiene and APHRC support to capacity building is very relevant as well. CoData and APHRC's work to data and making it harmonized is also important. The AI equity that has been called out, and they want to see more of that. And then data governance is very, very important for the consortium. This is led by all the teams, and we need to work together to make sure that data governance and data is shared responsibly and beneficially, like has been mentioned. And then we have bi-weekly meetings. These, of course, take a while, but they have also been shown to be very important for the success of the project. So key highlights, we had the training based on some of the feedback. Some of the key highlights, we had a training in Mombasa, the open science tools, the use of GitHub and other tools that are helping us be transparent in the consortium. Some of the things that people thought were very helpful. The Pathfinder visits were very helpful. The needs assessment to help us understand the state of the Pathfinders was also very, very helpful. And then the different partners who came on board, OSPO now and the Makere AI Lab, were also deemed very relevant. And of course, the data sharing agreement has been very, very important. We also held a research seminar where all the 3 Pathfinders came together and told us what their burning research questions were, and we were able to understand where to start from in terms of support. And most importantly is the recruitment of the DSWB fellows, masters and PhD fellows from all 4 countries, and actually 5, and most of these are going to really support the burning research questions. And this is the distribution of the masters. Majority are master students from Senegal, and these are registered at UCAD, and then 3 PhD. All the rest is PhD students in all 3 Pathfinders, and the highest there is Uganda with 3 PhD students. So as I conclude, what has been the impact on DSWB and the Pathfinders? They've understood the local capacity that they need to have to use their data sets. They've understood the importance of data governance. Data sharing is important. We don't just throw data in there. We need to know who is going to use it for what is the benefit, and how do we share responsibly. We've understood the need for digitalization at the 3 Pathfinders. We've understood the need for local collaborations. When we set up, we thought we'd only work with the 3 key institutions, but time and again we've seen that each of the Pathfinder goes ahead and gets more local collaborations, and that is very important for us. And of course, the needs assessment has highlighted a lot of issues that we are going to help to sharpen the way we are going to improve data systems in the different countries. Challenges, of course, remain. Aligning different Pathfinders has been a challenge. Aligning the projects to the different institutional needs. Unavailability of data sharing has slowed us down a bit, but it's part and parcel of the journey to collaboration. There's been differences in technological capacities at the different Pathfinders. The Anglo and Francophone communication challenge, we are navigating them and we are getting better. By the time we complete, we'll probably all be speaking English and French at the same time, and no need for translators. And then we need to align our objectives with the PhD students. M&E, we still need some support in the monitoring and evaluation tools, and of course some of the internal management issues that often happen in different institutions. And as I conclude, it's been a very, very fruitful year for the DSWB consortium. It's a very comprehensive multi-country collaboration, but we understand the challenges now. We know that the project impact should be not only at that specific institution, but if the Pathfinders can also make collaborations internally, which we've already witnessed, that will really be the dream of DSWB. You spread data science within the original borders. And then there are systems and processes that need to be fixed if we are to have a successful collaboration in Africa. There are many things we take for granted, right from financial systems to recruitment to reporting. There's a lot of information that goes on behind the scenes, but we need to work as a team. There's a lot, we've learned a lot from the needs assessment, the data mapping, and the priorities that need to be changed time and again as we engage more with the partners. And then what is most important is that the project needs to be aligned with the continental radar, and we are happy that we have Africa CDC here and other partners who are going to really be keen to make sure that we position this project for sustainability and uptake at continental level. And of course, the technical partners have been very, very supportive in this. So I'll end here with acknowledgement. I cannot enlist everyone, but just our site PIs, Dr. Musa, thank you for the leadership and hosting us here in Dakar. We appreciate all the work behind that, and Dr. Mbachu, who is here, Professor Lemsegad, who didn't travel, but our site PI at ARI. We have our technical partners all in the room and represented. Thank you so much for traveling, and we'll hear from you shortly. Our steering committee members, we have 4 here, and 4 will attend the meeting online. Thank you so much for traveling. The project working teams, those are definitely, there's a lot of work going on behind, from the logistics to the training to the comms, communication, the finance, a lot of work going on behind. And of course our funders, and to the right are our project coordinators. They are the foot soldiers really for the project. Without the 4 project coordinators and project manager, it's almost impossible to get such a large collaboration up and running. That is Miranda, Akililu, who is not here, Mokta, and Dr. Anise. Thank you so much for the support. And of course to my home institution, APHRC, and everyone who is in the room, merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup, Agnes. Thanks for this reminding of APHRC, its mission, its vision, its research programs, also of the DSWB program itself, the history, the objectives, the progress updates that we have made since we started last year, the key highlights, the challenges also. I mean, I will, even you said that by staying together, progress is measured by staying together. So we have been a year together now, and we have another 2.5 years to go. So this meeting will be a first step of seeing what we have done so far, and then where we are going for the next 2.5 years, and setting all of those up. So thank you again, Agnes. Thank you for the sponsors, all our key collaborators who are sitting here on the table, all the technical partners, the pathfinders, I would say the entire DSWB community present here. So I guess we can declare this this meeting open for this next 2.5 days. I mean, thank you.